Hello and welcome to the RC Expert Circle series, co-hosted by myself, Suzanne Murdoch of the Hub Newry and Eve Early of Empowering Change. The circle is all about connecting people, showcasing expertise, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Nicola McGuinness, who is the founder and chairperson of Lean In Newry. Nicola has an amazing story to tell, all about how her involvement with encouraging women's leadership and potential for growth. And I would love to hand over to Nicola to tell us all about how she's come to be in this position and her story to date. Welcome, Nicola.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Absolutely delighted to be here and for this opportunity. Yes, so I actually work at Intertrade Ireland, the cross-border trade and business development body formed under the Good Friday Agreement. So working with SMEs through the various programs that we have, and also more recently working within the research department. And I've been there coming up to 19 years now. And a number of years ago, as you can imagine, being in the same organisation for that length of time, started to get some rumblings that maybe I could do something different, and really don't think I'm reaching my potential here. I can do so much more, and I wasn't really sure that the journey that I was on was the one that I really wanted to follow through. So, and honestly, just to get a few days out of the office, I chose this particular course in Queen's. It was supported by Women in Business, but it sounded really wonderful. It was working on your leadership capabilities, and it was called Grit and Grace. So I went to it, and honestly, that truly changed the trajectory of my career, in terms that it introduced me to Lean In. But the whole ethos behind it was a female-only led course. And when I went into that room and there was 15 other women there, within a few hours, we felt like we'd known each other for so long, because our stories were so similar, regardless of our career paths or what level we were in our careers. And we all felt the same thing, experienced the same situations in terms of particularly imposter syndrome, losing our confidence, experiencing unconscious bias at work. And to know that there was labels for those instances, there's other women that have experienced it, and these other women saw each other, saw the potential in each other, and were there to support each other and encourage each other to move forward in their ambitions. And I'd never experienced that, I suppose, camaraderie and empowerment before, and it really stemmed from being in a female-only environment. So the other thing that came out of that was I felt like I had lived my life through rose-coloured glasses in terms of inequality, and I can't believe, looking back now, that I had never seen inequalities that exist in terms of gender inequality between men and women in the business world and beyond. And from that day forward, everywhere I looked, I could see it, and beforehand I couldn't. So I was even looking at things on the TV, and people were being interviewed, and there was a panel of men. And even the good examples, if you get the Little magazine, and you can see a man, you know, doing the ironing, promoting a new ironing board, or a woman holding a power drill, it's just great. But those things really, really were highlighted to me, and I thought, you know, I want to be a good example for my children, both boys and girls, and there are small things that we can do to make the world a better place in terms of equality, and Lean In is certainly founded on that. Like I say, Lean In was introduced to me through this course. I'd never heard of it before, and it's founded on the belief that the society and the economy will be a better place if girls and women and men and boys were treated equally. So this really, I sort of kicked off a newfound passion I didn't even know that I had in myself. And I have a fantastic mentor in my manager in work, and she had said to me, even though the seed had already been planted in my own mind, you know, why don't you start up a Lean In Newry? There was a large following for one in Belfast, but nothing south of that. And instantly that imposter syndrome kicks in straight away. How could I possibly do it? I'm only me, you know, who am I to say that, something like that? But I really needed to move forward and do something with the learnings that I got from the course. And I thought, what is there to lose? You know, gather a group of women together, we'll chat about our stories and learn from each other and see where that goes. And that was 2 years ago. And we'd up to about 10 women in the circle. And we now have 300 plus women at local level here in Newry.
Wow, Nicola, that's amazing. Is there such a thing as an ideal member that could learn from this?
I wouldn't say ideal member. We are absolutely open to all women of all backgrounds, all abilities, at all stages in their careers, all stages in their life. What I would say is, and what I've discovered in this journey is that there are so many women out there who are in the same position as me, that they have settled for where they are in their career as the end of their career. So they have lost that confidence they might have had years ago when they first started in their career. They have their parents and they've taken on carrying responsibilities and they have to pay the bills, and whatever dreams they had have gone by the wayside. They've lost this confidence to even go forward and look back and fulfill them. And so they don't realize that they have so much more to give. And it's when you get into that circle of women who are there to support you and share your story, that you suddenly understand that there are things that you can do while ultimately difficult, and facing that fear and really moving forward is a very difficult thing to do. But when you have people that are there who understand what you're going through, have done the same and can support you on that journey, it's really powerful. And so it's really good actually to have people at different levels, and we have so that they can share what they've done and help that personal development journey for each of the individuals. There's some fantastic relationships have been formed and friendships have been formed, and the fact that you know this circle of females in your area, that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, what did you do with this? Or can I, it's not businessy transactional, it's more supporting and mentoring.
Yeah, and I think that aspect in its own is empowering actually. I guess a lot of women might not even have that confidence to join something like this, and it's about knowing other people who've gone through it and grown like yourself and gone through that story that would enable them to take that first step.
Absolutely. It's really telling your stories so that you understand where these women are. I mean, we've had people that have pulled in to go to one of our meetings and sat in the car and turned around and left. Now, we've since obviously had them on board, and they look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But they don't have the confidence to even step through the door to get to one of our circle meetings. So to get that message across that, look, it's a level playing field. Everyone here is to support. It's totally confidential as well. So everyone's made to feel comfortable. And such an amazing group of inspiring women. I think that's another thing I'd learned once I started up Lean In, and having come from a public sector background for such a long time, realizing that there's a whole other world out there, a world that is full of women who are ambitious and inspiring and really motivated. And I think I was very much blind to that fact, that because I was so sort of institutionalized.
But I mean, personally, I've seen you really grow in the last year or so of doing this. And I remember doing a workshop. Was it one where we had to record ourselves? We were interviewing ourselves when we were in the Canal Court there, and how much you've grown since that.
That's right.
And I was exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
And since that, I think the more and more you do it, and the more and more people you speak to who've gone through that sort of thing, you realise how much you've grown along that journey and how much potential you all have.
Suzanne, I look back on that day and I cringe, because that is one of the turning points for me, because it was horrendous. We were doing radio interviews and TV interviews, and we're being tackled with tough questions.
Wasn't it? Feedback and how to cope when something critical happens.
Yeah, but I suppose what I realize is, here I am, I'm the leader of a network of 300 plus women. I can't possibly lead these women without actually walking the talk. So how can I tell someone to get over their fears and do an interview or go for that job or take the next step in their career without actually doing something about it myself? So it is, the more you do it, I wouldn't say the easier it gets, the more comfortable you get within that situation, but you just have to keep moving forward, because if you don't, you're just standing still, nothing's happening for you.
Nicola, where do you see this going? What are your long-term visions for Lean In and how you can help women going forward? Yeah,
so like I said, we started off with about 10 women, and we've grown, and it's all through word of mouth. We haven't done any real advertising. We've achieved so much, but because we've grown, and the key to a Lean In circle is that it's a small circle of women, so that it provides that comfortable, confidential sharing environment. And we've grown so much that we have more workshop-led events now, where some of our members will take on their expertise and help develop other members through workshops. And we've lost that confidential small group sharing. So what that means now that we've become a network, we have to break that down into smaller circles. And I would love to see women come forward and say to me, I want to start my own circle within my organization, within my particular business field or sector, among my group of friends, in my area, at home, anything. So that's what I would love to happen. We already have 2 other circles coming out of the network. One of them is the Health and Wellbeing Hub, and the other one is in the Clanry group. So ultimately my role is to develop these circles and encourage more circles within organizations and in sectors, so that we have an ultimate overall network and lots of individual circles, be it for entrepreneurs or people in marketing or in finance, something like that.
Which again, everyone can learn from each other's expertise and then go and connect with each other and that side of things. No, that's amazing. And then tell me a bit about the I Am Remarkable program that you've been running.
So with Lean In, they do a number of initiatives. So for example, they have like 50 ways to fight bias, where they'll give you 50 different scenarios and what you can do to fight that very clear bias situation. They have another one called Ban Bossy, where they want to eliminate the word bossy in association with a female. Lots of different initiatives. So one of the most recent ones is hashtag I Am Remarkable. Now it's not a Lean In initiative, it's actually a Google initiative. And it was started by 2 Google female employees who could see what was happening all around them and realised that females needed to speak up more about their accomplishments. And it just plays into everything that Lean In is about, in terms of being seen, being heard, being recognised for what you have achieved in order to help you move forward in your career. So they very much promote it, and they train the Lean In leaders in taking these workshops. And when I first heard about it, I absolutely loved it. And if I didn't love it then, I love it even more now, having done the workshops and trained a lot of women through the whole process. The feedback is phenomenal, and it really is quite a powerful initiative. So it's about working with underrepresented groups, and women, females are underrepresented in so many areas of life. And when you are in an underrepresented group, you tend to be less outspoken because you don't feel comfortable, or you've lost your confidence, or you're just outnumbered. And so it's breaking down those modesty norms and breaking down that glass ceiling to allow women to really understand what they have achieved in their life, speak out about it, believe in themselves, and I suppose create their own view of what they want people to, to see them as. So we're very much brought up in a society where you don't brag, you don't say, look at me and I've done this. But this initiative takes you past that bragging. It's not bragging if it's based on facts. So you can say, I am the owner of a very successful business. I brought it to this level because, and that's all facts, and you can say that. And those type of things come very much a lot easier to men to speak up and do. And women feel a bit unhinged by doing it, because we've been brought up to not, remain quiet, praise everyone else, and self-praise is no praise. And certainly don't be making other people feel uncomfortable and that type of thing. But the evidence and the research is there to show that you will lag behind your self-promoting peers if you don't make it known what you have achieved and where your strengths lie. So you have to fight through that real uncomfortable feeling and the fear, and just let it be known that you are capable of and what you've done in the past to show that you're capable of taking on new projects or going for a promotion. Just get used to hearing your own voice, speak up about yourself. Because if you don't believe in your achievements, you can't expect other people to believe in it. So it's a small step to help women do it. And it's a bit of like an exercise that you have to keep practicing and practicing, like a muscle that you have to keep working at. And because, just because you say it once doesn't mean that you've achieved that and you can move forward. You really have to work at it. And I Am Remarkable is done with a small group of women, because again, back to the whole circle scenario, it's really easy and to share and encourage. And certainly when you hear other people's stories, you can see your story in theirs, and also understand how amazing they are. And when they hear that you're supporting them, and they suddenly go, do you know what? Wow, I've never stopped to think about it, but look at what I've achieved. I actually am remarkable. And it really confidence.
It can be a very emotional thing, can't it? Because a lot of things we achieve, we don't actually realise that we're achieving it and that we are remarkable in certain things that we might do every day. But it's a huge thing, and we should be shouting and praising ourselves over it. So it can actually be quite emotional. I know when I did the program with you, I was grateful that it was only a small group. But the thing, you know, there's certain things that were coming out and being brought to the front.
Yeah. Very emotional, and I think that's why it's important that it's female only, because women wouldn't share the same level if there was men in the room, and vice versa, I imagine. Yeah, it's always emotional, and I think because we just assume that what we do is what we're expected to do without realizing it's actually amazing what we are doing. You know, you're a mother, your sister. Sorry.
Just touching on that, is there an equivalent I Am Remarkable model for males? Or is it something you thought about?
To my knowledge, there's not. And I suppose it's particularly directed because we're seen as an underrepresented group. And again, like I say, you don't tend not to speak up when you're part of one of those groups. That being said, imposter syndrome is a huge issue for both men and women, and they both equally face it. It's just not spoken about as much in terms of men, because women maybe will share their feelings a bit more and they don't speak up. And it's interesting, you had mentioned it to me before briefly, and it really had got me thinking. I'd actually asked my husband about this the weekend. I said, if I was to say to you, would you go in an I Am Remarkable workshop, what would you do? And he, you know, he said, well, men tend to not share as much as women in terms of maybe personal life, and they do find it hard to speak up about their achievements as well. You know, there's CEOs in position who are thinking, oh my God, how did I get here? They're going to be found out, and, you know, I better plod through. So I do think it would work, absolutely. But again, I think it would have to be a room full of men and a small group, and not a mixture of genders. But I'd love to hear some feedback if there's people listening out there, particularly from the male audience, to see, you know, take a wee bit more research into to see how we could form something around that.
I think there's a real need for something like that, or even an awareness of with something like the I Am Remarkable program. I know myself and my husband was actually watching Brené Brown there over the weekend, when it was a real eye-opener for both of us, because it just got us talking, you know, what achievements do you think you've achieved to date, and how do you feel about that? Do you even know they are achievements? And even topics like who to you as a mentor and support network. And I think there's a whole avenue of conversations needed from the male perspective that perhaps they're not having at the moment, so they're not being given the right platforms to have those conversations on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if we want men to be allies and to buy into the whole gender equality, you know, it can't just be women doing the work in that area. Men have to be brought on board too. And yeah, we all need to work together to move the whole thing forward.
Yeah. Nicola, you are remarkable in your own right here. What are your bigger visions for Nicola McGuinness?
So I alluded to the fact that where I am now is not where I want to be in the future. And that's really nothing to do with the organisation. I work for a fantastic organisation. It's close to home. It has some really, you know, I have flexi time. It has some really brilliant terms and conditions. I have an amazing mentor and a manager, but somehow it's not enough. And I think because I've been in the company of so many amazing women, I have come to realize that I am capable of achieving a lot more. And I want to work with women in some form of capacity, and sharing my journey and bringing them along with me in the way that I have developed as well. So I am particularly interested in training as coach, and also executive coaching, having done the I Am Remarkable facilitation of the workshops. I really enjoyed that. So yes, that's all in my future, some form of coaching and working with women and facilitation.
Okay. It's been lovely hearing your story. In terms of if people want to get in touch, what's the best way to get in touch with you and learn more about the programs that you work with?
So for Lean In, we're on Facebook as Lean In Newry, or we have an email address, leaninNewry@gmail.com. I Am Remarkable. I can be contacted on LinkedIn, and I would absolutely love to spread the word about that. I know we'll chat briefly about the ripple effect of I Am Remarkable. And so if one person sees Nicola McGuinness speaking up about her achievements, they get comfortable in that environment and think, well, you know, if Nicola can do it, so can I, and I want to advance as well. So the more I get to do I Am Remarkable, I am so welcome to that. And please, the more workshops I can hold with different societies or organisations and spread the word and get that ripple effect continuing to go. So please do contact me on LinkedIn if you're interested in your organisation.
Great. Nicola, thank you very much. And if well, the video will be going up on YouTube, and if anyone wants to get in contact with Nicola, please do so. We'll put the contact details on there as well. Or you can email us and ask thegotopro@gmail.com. Thank you, Nicola.